Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ray and Jordan at Unpacked, and we're going to be covering a few topics today. Hopefully, it'll hit you and cause you to think, and just go over some things in your life that you might not have thought about. And without further ado, the subject matter this week will be managing obstacles, overcoming adversity, and thriving under uncertainty. So, managing obstacles. So, Jordan, like, what is not maybe your secret sauce, or like how would Jordan go by managing obstacles that he's maybe faced in the past, or some of his maybe in the future, or just even the present that you might have gone through that you have I guess um, kind of roughed it out.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for me personally, I mean, like we all have obstacles in our life. That's just it's part of life. In my own personal experience, it's taken years to get to this point and to have this mindset. But I think now, in my current life, when I come into obstacles, I don't look at them as things that are happening to me anymore. I don't really carry the attitude of poor me. I don't have a victim mindset towards
Yeah.
obstacles anymore or setbacks or adversity. Now it's like I realize how we react to problems is the only thing that we can really control. And once something happens, there's no real there's no real pro to dwell on it.
Hmm.
What's happened has happened, and as soon, like, the quicker that you can move on from that thing, the better you're going to be. So if something happens to you, you can dwell and be like, oh, poor me, this happened, and fret, and maybe that can shut down your dream. Or you can have sort of the reaction where it's like, okay, this happened, how can I create a story in my own mind that's going to empower me and make my journey that much more interesting and exciting.
So, hold on. So next question would be like, do you have a personal, a story or a personal instance that kind of like you learned from that to get you to where you are now, mentally?
Yeah, I think for the listeners, my background is in professional hockey. I played 12 years. Six were in the American Hockey League, which for the non-hockey fans out there, that's basically the level right under the NHL. That's the feeder league for the NHL. And I played 6 years overseas in Europe in a number of countries: Italy, Denmark, England, a few years in Germany. Um, but this story that really, was one of the biggest lessons that happened to me in hockey that I carried with me, into my life after hockey. And that was in my fourth professional season. I was playing in Grand Rapids, Michigan with the farm team for the Detroit Red Wings, who were the Grand Rapids Griffins. And I was on the final year of my contract, and all athletes know that's a big year, because in sports it's a career there's no real security. You never know where your next paycheck is going to come from at the end of the season. So contract years it's definitely just the most important thing. It's always on your mind. But with about 20 games left in the season, um, I slid into the boards full speed. I was cutting to the net, and I couldn't stop myself, and I broke my humerus, which, for those of you who don't know, is the bone in your arm, above your elbow, between your elbow and shoulder. I guess I could show you guys the scar. You could see on video, and so it was
Wow.
completely broken in half, almost a compound fracture. And
Jeez.
it was a pretty serious injury. It ended my season that year, and for a lot of people, for other teams, other prospective teams that I might have had a chance with signing with, if it wasn't with Detroit, all that kind of went out the window. That injury was looked at as potentially career ending. So my future was uncertain. At the time of injury, I didn't really know I wasn't really thinking about my future. I just wanted to get healthy again. And, it was probably about 6 months until I was back ready to go. But by that time, I was pretty much passed over by all American League teams, all NHL teams. I wasn't re-signed by Detroit, so I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place mentally. I was panicking to say the least. As summer went on and the season was getting closer, and friends and family were questioning me, "Hey, where are you going to play next year? Where are you going? Who are you going to sign with?" And it plays with your mind when you don't have anything good to tell them. So, it really came to a boiling point where I remember I was sitting in the gym one day and I was frustrated because I didn't know where I was going. And, I stopped my workout. I just wasn't feeling it. And I got up and I had this giant sledgehammer in my hand that we used to beat down on this, one of those giant tractor tires. It's like a power exercise. And I remember just exuding all my energy and just pounding on this tire with this sledgehammer. And I feel like it was months of frustration that just came out of me in that moment. And I stormed out of the gym, and it was a release. But looking back, it was, I'm kind of shameful of that experience and how I reacted, especially when it came to that boiling point, and I'm loading all my energy in front of my peers. If I could go back and relive that situation, I wouldn't look at breaking my arm and potentially, the end of my career as, me, the victim, or why is this happening to me? Poor me. I would probably try to rewire myself to think this is going to be the most epic comeback story that anyone has ever seen. Obviously that's not true, but I could tell myself that, and if I believe it, that's going to help propel me forward and get where I need to go. So,
Can I interrupt you right there? Okay, so how do you come to that conclusion? That this is going to be the greatest comeback, because that to me, just coming back from that, whether it's the injury, the physical injury, and the mental anguish or the angst, of all that, blood, sweat, and tears, and hard work, and for you still, just to have a mindset that say, hey, yeah, it sucks now, but I'm still, I'm still here. I'm still going to put my best my best foot forward, and make sure that this doesn't stop me from attaining a goal, any goal, whether it's to continue playing hockey or to be on a podcast or to be to be Jordan. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I have to say, Ray, like my injury, it was this big deal to me, and and only me. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's people out there who look at that injury and it's nothing, yeah. And I just wouldn't feel right without saying that.
But that's understandable. But in the I guess profession that I'm in, with me being quadriplegic on life support, I know everybody doesn't know my story, but long story short, 2002, I was in a car accident that more or less left me paralyzed from the neck down, and I was in the sports. I wasn't on the next flight to the NFL or anything, but I loved playing football. I was okay at it. I excelled at it, but at the same time, I was nowhere near the professional specimen that you were. But at the same time, just losing your limbs, because I can kind of relate with older individuals when they have their driver's license revoked, and because they just can't drive anymore. But when you lose your limbs, the ability to use them as something mundane, something just run of the mill, it affects you in a way in which I had to reinvent myself. And in reinventing myself, you kind of get to know yourself from the ground up. And so I think uh, just listening to you, that's kind of an experience that you had, that you got to know not only about yourself, but about your surroundings, about your friends and your family, and individuals who are there for you. So just to kind of empathize with you, and get on the same page uh, as far as managing obstacles. It can be it can be a slippery slope, but as long as you keep a level head, and you be able to think logically about your options, and come up with solutions, you should see your way through the fray.
How really how what was your journey like in processing that injury and just your journey? Could you talk a little bit about, from that moment to this one right now where you're, a motivational speaker and you're sharing, your story and helping empower others? Like how did that transpire?
Well, I have a it's my baby. It's my business. It's called Adversity's Hope, and generally it's a relationship with yourself, despite what you're going through at the current moment, and it's living moment by moment. And so, if you are experiencing adversity, make sure you are not calculating. Make sure you are understanding this adversity. Can it be used? Can it be changed? If it can, use it and change it to continue to help yourself and help others. But initially, it was very difficult because, like I said, I had to reinvent myself,
Mhm.
because the physical is all I knew. Is I love working on my hands. I love playing sports. I love just going outside, drive or walking, driving, running, working out. It was a part of me, just the physical aspect of life. And when I lost that, I had to sit down and understand what life was all about. In order to do that, a one word popped up, which is truth. And so, whether it's truth of understanding of who I am, or the truth uh, uh, of what it means to live, or just understanding what truth is. Whether it's coherent, more or less consistent, whether it's objective. Uh, that there's, of course, certain things that are relative in this world, but are there certain things that are objective in this world that are true, regardless of how I feel about them? So with understanding all that, I had to do some contemplation, to say the least, contemplating about what's real. Should I continue to live? Going over existential questions that would either make me or break me. Should I continue to live? What is my reason to live? Who am I living for? What am I living for? Is this life worth living? Being quadriplegic on life support, and so wrestling with all those, I sifted through various worldviews, whether it's I'll just break them down to three. Theistic worldviews like Judaism, Islam, Christianity. Then you have non-theistic worldviews, which are Buddhism, atheism, agnosticism. Then you have uh, pantheism. Pantheistic, sorry, worldviews. And so, you just go down the line and say what corresponds with truth and reality, and from there, I'll make I'll place my faith and my trust in a particular belief or worldview, depending on its correspond how truth and reality corresponds with it. So I guess that was my story in a nutshell, which was truth, and from truth, I I use that to get to know individuals and meet them where they are, regardless of the worldview, regardless of their belief system, because if this is why we're here. We're here because we're trying to unpack love. We're trying to get to understand, people from where they are and where they're coming from, where they've been. And so instead of pointing the finger and saying you're wrong, I hate you, don't like you, can't be around you, and so again. These are the reasons that we're here to, I guess, try to change the narrative. And so ultimately, my purpose is to ultimately, love my neighbor as myself and love just individuals by spending time. Because with time is a commodity you can't get back. And when you put it in its right perspective, it will time will show you, who is there for you, who's not. Time will help you, heal in various aspects, but time also will help will hinder you depending on your mindset. So, but yeah, just I guess that's how I would answer the question. How I got here was truth, the search of truth, and to get an understanding of how this world works, why I continue to live, and being able to answer why I continue to why I should continue to live, and things like that. So, but yeah, I guess that's how I would try to answer your question.
You think? Do you think you've arrived there? Like the search for truth and meaning, is it something you found, or do you think it's like an ongoing thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so, for example, when I talk to either clients or I talk to just individuals on the street or just get to know somebody, I generally ask them the four basic questions of life: origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. So, origin, where do we come from? As a human race. Meaning, what's the meaning of life? Whether it's subjective or objective. Morality, how do we decide right from wrong? And destiny, what generally happens to us when we die. And so when I have those conversations with people, most are unsure how to answer those questions, which I tell them it's okay because it's a starting point to where you can start to understand yourself. Because when I help people regarding relationships and being a relationship coach, I try to focus more on who that person is, and for them to get to know themselves, understand what their values are, understanding what their worldview is, what they believe, why they believe it, what makes them tick, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. More or less get them to themselves. So when we get out in the world, we can have a conversation. And then, of course, after that, you got your local relationships, whether it's friends, family, co-workers, and then you have, of course, dating, and then what you're attracted to, and what you might be disappointed in, and where you can kind of navigate these different relationships, and of course, long term, whether it's marriage or whether it's just networking with a business partner or whatnot. So when I came to the conclusion, about life and what life is all about, I more or less centered it around relationships and getting to understand a person, for who he or she is. So I guess it has worked out in the long run.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you there too about relationships being what I think as well as they're the most important thing that we should be nurturing in our lives. The pursuit of materialism, material goods, items, cars, houses,
Yeah.
whatever that stuff is, whatever it is that you are chasing,
Hmm.
even if you get it, you arrive there, it's never gonna satiate that hungry ghost inside of you.
Correct.
It's impossible.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and you know what? I honestly just feel grateful to know that, and I don't know how I got here, how what it was, but I'm just thankful to be on that maybe level of consciousness that you can have that appreciation, because I think without that, life can be suffering, always chasing that next thing.
Hmm. Well, and that operative word suffering, it's such a big word, and it's a compact word in which everybody that I know as an adult can really relate to. And one of my favorite songs, not the Clout Chase, but DMX. DMX, my favorite song of his is called "Slippin'," and he quotes a philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, the atheist philosopher, and it's the quote is, "I believe to live is to suffer, and to survive, well, that's to find meaning in the suffering."
Mm,
So that has kind of been my journey, as finding meaning within the suffering, finding an understanding. You know why we suffer. Is suffering worth the time placed here on this earth, or should we just end it because suffering just has that stronghold on some of us to the point where it's unbearable. So, but all in all, that's another reason why I'm hanging around, because I believe I have a some type of tolerance when it comes to hardship and heartache and pain and things like that, and I believe I have a helpful solution to some individuals uh, who might be dealing with hardship and pain and suffering and trauma and uh, things of that nature.
mhm. Was it like a certain book or a certain speaker, a movie, song? Like what do you think was sort of that trigger that
Well, for me, the realization, if and this goes back to my worldview, is if it goes to the meaning of life, and if there is no objective meaning of life, meaning if there's the Christ or God to more or less uh, bestow an innate worth upon me, then that means worth is more or less relative. And if it's relative, you can change it to whatever you want, whether it's good, bad, big, small, and therefore not objective. But on the other hand, and on the same hand, that means everything's permissible. Evil, hate, uh, malice, and so you can do what you want, how you want, and when you want. You can live out your all. You can live out your whole autonomy, and not have any shame or guilt about you if there's no objective meaning in life. And so for me, I found that Christ is who he says he is, Son of God, and have died for my sins. And I understand that life is about relationships and getting people to just understand that they have innate worth, that Christ loves them, and that's really what I'm living for, and who I'm living for, because I have not as subjective but an object purpose to further my to further my life. So it's more or less it's bigger than me. This life is bigger than me, and so I can't just think about myself uh, and ultimately go on in life and not think about others.
yeah, yeah, that's well put. And it's I wish everybody thought like that. I really wish everyone thought like that. Um and it's scary because I know that's not how it is. And there's proof of this in our everyday lives. You rewind the clock a year ago, to last spring, and it's the start. I'm calling it from Canada, and we went on lockdown, the store shut down, everybody runs to the grocery store, buys up all the toilet paper, leaves none for their neighbor, buys up all the food, leaves none for their neighbor. And everyone was scared, and fear brings out the worst in people. But
Mhm. And I wrote an article. That's funny you mentioned that. I'll give a range back, but yeah, I wrote an article about that. About the success during the COVID-19 era. And so, long story short, it's just you. What you learn about yourself is you want to make sure that you and your family is okay, and then more or less just the rest. You get to learn about who you can live with and who you can live without. So that's more or less what I kind of made my conclusion about is COVID teaches you or inherent or forces you to realize who you can live with and who you can live without. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to kind of add that little tidbit when it comes to COVID and how I guess the animalistic um, feature tropes kind of take over when I guess your life is on the line, with your children or your wife or your spouse's life is on the line, and what you're willing to do to make sure that you and they have.
Yeah, if anything, it was a lesson in preparation for sure. Now
Yeah.
I'm looking at the doomsday preppers. They're not so crazy to me anymore.
Listen. I just a few months ago. There's a flipping protocol. Actually, the CDC has a zombie apocalypse protocol. So I mean, nothing's out of range when it comes to imagination and when it comes to reality and fiction sorry, fiction and nonfiction. They're coming to the forefront when it comes to survival. So I mean, you just prepare for the complete worst. So they're not crazy. I'll tell you that they ain't crazy.
For sure. Back to overcoming adversity and obstacles. Have you ever seen the Steve Jobs commencement speech? I think it was the Stanford University. This is probably, yeah, he was he was alive when he gave it.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Yeah, there's sort of like this iconic line that he talks about that you can't, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably going to butcher it, but you can't connect the dots going forward, only looking back. And, that was a powerful, expression for me, because it is fear of the unknown is huge. It could be paralyzing at times. And we never, you almost have to have trust in your journey. And, once you get around those obstacles, overcome adversity, when you look back, it all makes sense. It always seems to be that way, at least in my own experiences.
And just to piggyback off what you said, especially with technology, with Steve Jobs, he was, a great pioneer for that. And so there's a movie called Powder, and there's an actor in it called Jeff Goldblum. And the quote, well, probably my favorite quote out of the movie was, technology has surpassed our humanity. Hopefully one day our humanity will surpass our technology. So, and that's what I also want to do. I want to use technology for us to be able to, get back to our roots, get back to, what it means to be human, treating people like human beings, and not just, going off the latest hashtag, or not just refreshing your page after you made a post, and so just having more or less an interaction with a fellow human being and being able to speak and articulate yourself as well as you can to further a goal. Whether it's a goal that you have for yourself, or a goal that you have for humanity, or a goal you have for a family member. Just being more or less being around and encouraging people. Where we can encourage each other to do encouraging things. So
yeah, that's what I love about social media. Like there's good and bad, like everything in life. But for me, I notice I got to be following the right people, the people that are gonna encourage or inspire me to go out and create art, inspire me to just be in that loving vibration, that state of love, and not that sort of that state that's not love, that's about chasing materialism. If you're following an abundance of influencers who are sitting on sports cars and all this kind of stuff. Like you can almost feel bad about what you have,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't be like that. Social media can be a powerful tool to empower you to be the best version of yourself, or you could be sitting there doing what I call the soul scroll and just scrolling your life away,
Yeah.
sort of in this hollow, empty shell of yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. So how do you prevent that? You think? Because I've never heard that term, the soul scroll. So, like, how would you either prevent that, or help somebody through being complacent, or just getting through, I guess complacency. Just idle.
Yeah, it's who you follow, the pages or the people that you follow. Like each of us have a totally different Facebook feed or Instagram feed, and it's all based off the stuff that obviously what we're following, but what we're liking. Um, but say you follow predominantly you know influential people in a positive light. People who share your worldview. Hopefully, that's a positive worldview. Follow less junk. Even if they're people that you're friends with, or if they're not helping you be better, you don't really have to follow their journey. You could always pop in and see how they're doing and say hello once in a while. But if you are going to be using social media every day, you want yourself, when you're scrolling, to be inspired, because that's all you're programming your subconscious. We on social media, we're flicking through, we're focusing on an image for only a few seconds at a time, and it's on to the next one. But our subconscious is still picking up what we saw and
Mhm.
sitting with us in the back of our mind. So you do have to be selective and make sure it is positive stuff that's not like, I don't want to use the word positive, but influential stuff that's going to help you get better.
Mhm. Okay, so here's the last little leg. All right, so we got maintaining positivity, balance, and mental health. So how do we maintain this positivity? With what you said, following the right person and making sure that taking the right steps. What is this maintaining positivity?
Hmm. Well, when it comes to mental health, and I think I mentioned this on one of our other episodes, for me, and I this took years to kind of come to this discovery, but I've come up with like a short list of 5 things that if I do, or if I'm doing at least 3 of them, I'm gonna be feeling okay. If I'm doing 5, I'm gonna be vibing. I'm gonna be feeling really good.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
if I'm only doing 2 or 1 or 0, I'm suffering for sure.
yeah.
First is sleep. You got to get proper amount of sleep. For me, it's like 8 hours. It's tough. I have a daughter now. She wakes up early. I go to bed too late. Sleep is huge, and
Yeah,
quality sleep too. Making sure you
yeah.
wind down before you go to sleep, so you do get quality hours.
Mhm.
Food and water. Whole foods.
So
And water.
that's important. How you feel your body? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. Food, meditation is big for me.
Yep. Same
Um,
here.
just those moments of stillness. And for those people listening who've never meditated before, there's so many different kinds of meditation. You don't have to just sit there. You could just not go on your phone and just sit in a chair and look around your office for 5 or 10 minutes. That
Mhm.
counts. Movement, and I gotta do something. Just move around a little bit, and content. If I'm too many hours doing the soul scroll, I'm going to be suffering for sure.
I hear you. Well, for me, it's a handful of things, but one or two things will be. I have one one thing that I've shared in one of my chapters, which is called CHAP. CHAP is short for uh, chip away every day. Every day, chip
Mhm.
away, and being able to adapt. Chip away every day, and be have the ability to adapt. When it comes to your limitations, because to be honest, I have physical limitations, which everybody can see. I'm quadriplegic on life support, but there's so many of us that have limitations that we can't see. In which it affects that person to the utmost, but we again can't see it. But if you learn to adapt to your situations, if you're able to chip away at it every day like a sculpture, and not taking these huge chunks, a huge step forward, a big step forward you're kind of biting a bit too much, you can chew. And so, again, just chip away at it at a pace. Make sure it's at a pace. You're not getting complacent, or you're not being stubborn. You're not getting frustrated because of life and the curveballs it throws at you. And so, those would be two of what I would suggest. And just overall, when it comes to just understanding your mind frame and how powerful your mind is. If every individual would grasp how powerful your mind is, I think we would be seeing so many advancements in medicine, science, relationships, and so on and so forth, because our minds are so powerful. They can be our best friends or our worst enemies. They can cause us to. For example, I'm on a computer, using this sip and puff to navigate it. I'm going to have to show my followers a little later how I use the computer, but at the same time, I'm able to use the mind that I have and articulate myself to the point where I can have a conversation, I can pay bills, I can move a mountain, I can change a thought, I can heal a heart, I can do so many things that people are not aware of. And I'm not again say it egotistically, but because we can all do it. I'm just saying that if we are able to use our minds to find solutions and help one another, the options are endless. The solutions are endless, to some of the problems that we have each and every day. So, just a mind frame, just having not only a positive mind frame, but I don't know, I can't say, I don't know if I can say progressive, but just a mind frame that is, looking forward to help, to heal, to mend, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, those maybe are the three things that I would say, and the last but not least, try to holistically develop. What I mean by that is mental, physical, financial, emotional, and spiritual development within yourself. This all goes back to having a relationship with yourself and understanding what makes you tick and what makes you do the things you do, so you can not only articulate it to yourself, love yourself, and then be able to love others as well.
Have you read any of the work from Joe Dispenza by chance?
I'm not.
No, he's
right now I'm reading a book called "The Body Keeps the Score." So no, I haven't. But I'm not. If you write that down, I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, it's it's all about mindset in meditations. He's big on the power of the mind to heal the body and heal past traumas, and it's one of those topics that if you're a very science based driven person, you might turn your nose up at it, because in my opinion, you're limiting yourself if you claim to there's things that science can quantify for you to find truth. It's just a personal opinion, but if you think of, and everyone knows about the placebo effect, if someone has a headache and you give them a sugar pill and tell them it's a Tylenol or an Advil, there's a good chance that their headache's going to go away. And that's just to me, that's evidence of the power of the mind, and like you said, if everyone recognized that and put in the work, strengthening your mind just doesn't happen. There's no shortcut. It takes work. it takes hours and hours and hours
It's a
of work.
lifestyle. It's a
Yeah,
lifestyle.
exactly. It is. It is. It's something that you have to dedicate your time and energy to see improvements, but it is possible.
And I did want to comment on your science comment.
Hmm.
When it comes to science, we and I love science. There's absolutely nothing wrong with science. But when it comes to the physical and when it comes to science, we put so many eggs in that basket. Because science is only one branch of knowledge. Because there's aesthetics, there's philosophy, there's mathematics, which science uses, of course. And so, I mean, there's a lot of branches of knowledge when it comes to how we think in ontology and epistemology, and how we know things. And so, if we and what you can't do is say if science can't prove what am I trying to say here? If there's no way to prove something scientifically, it's not true. Well, that in itself is a philosophy, a contradictory philosophy, but it's a philosophy nonetheless. And so we just have to understand, there are more methods out there besides just science. And again, I am not slighting science by any means. It's a great tool, but it's only one tool in our myriad of tools in our tool belt.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. There's limitations. An example I read yesterday, doing the soul scroll. No, it wasn't the soul scroll. I was only on the journal.
Somebody telling on himself. I've done it too, man. I've been there. I did that pretty much all this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a post that it was some archaeologists in China that found a skull that they're calling the Dragon Man, if I'm not mistaken. And they're saying that this was a type of ancestor from humans that kind of lived between Neanderthals and human Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
So, if you were to look up, say, the evolution of man, scientific fact that it's a linear progression, A, B, C, D, E. But now all of a sudden there's this mystery letter that just gets kind of plopped into the middle, and now that is fact. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was just one of those shining examples of like the limitations of science, and facts are sometimes not facts, and yeah, it's just something that we need to be mindful of, especially if you're a person that you worship at the altar of science.
Yeah, well, and with me, I try to keep it cut and dry because there's a vast difference between proof and evidence. I lean on evidence because proof, it's really hard to prove anything. To be honest, it's hard to prove that I'm having a conversation with you right now. Is this a bad dream we're having, or a good dream we're having, or a dream, or is this alternate reality in the conversation that we're having, or is this reality? And so, it's not what we can prove, more or less. It's the evidence that we can provide to sustain a particular reality that we're living. So I totally agree, with you with what you're saying.
Yeah, what would you say if you could recommend a book to someone, or a movie, a documentary, a speaker, a TED Talk that would help someone on their journey to enlightenment, well-being?
To be honest, what's sticking out to me, and I hope I don't poke fun at me if you want, but right now, something I mentioned earlier, DMX Slipping. That track. If somebody's going through a tough time and you need like a something kind of deep to listen to understand, put your life in perspective, because more or less the song is about a black man falling on hard times and him getting the understanding of being able to get through a cold and hard world, through his hardships and his pain and his anguish. So again, the track is called "Slipping," and so it's more or less like a for me, it's a motivation to just the last part of the song where he says, "I'm slipping, I'm falling, I got to get up." So it's something that it's an everyday mantra. Okay, yeah, I'm down right now, I'm hurting right now, but listen, you just got to get up. Get to that next moment, and that's more or less what I kind of help you with, just getting to that next moment, and even though this present time may be hard as hell, but just try to get to that moment. You got to get up. You got to keep going. You got to put the next foot in front of the other. You got to put the next thought in front of the other. And so that's probably one. It's, I guess, not literature, but a song of choice, and then a poem. What's on my heart right now, man, is Dylan Thomas. How does that poem go? Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to get it from memory. Let me try to paraphrase. It's don't go gentle into that good night, but rage against the dying of the light. So I'll repeat it one more time. Don't go gentle into that good night, but rage against the dying of the light. So yeah, that's kind of a mantra that when I'm going through some things that I kind of use to keep me motivated. That hey, my journey doesn't end here. I got to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. And listen, we did 45 minutes without breaking a sweat, man. That was too much, man. And so, is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, there was one thing that I guess I'll end with, and this is maybe could help someone who sometimes when we want to get somewhere, it looks overwhelming because we have to go so far. And this kind of popped into my mind when we were talking about that DMX song and just taking, one step, putting one foot in front of the other,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually you're going to get there. And that hits home for me because, and a lot of my life experiences, they always come back to my hockey career.
Yeah.
And, sometimes when you're in a rut, me as an athlete, I was, if I got into a game and I had no confidence and nothing was going my way and everything bad was happening, there'd be a moment where I'd come back to the bench and say, like, okay, like let's stop the bleeding. Let's stop digging myself a hole. Let's just stop. We got to start digging ourselves out the other way. And it's just like what's one thing that I can do that's very small that'll get me going back in the right direction? So whether it's a person who is, maybe you're trying to lose a whole bunch of weight, maybe you're trying to learn, this new skill that could take months or years to learn, like coding or something. What is one thing that you could do today that's just going to get you that little bit further or get you in the right direction, and maybe not even help you, physically, but will give you that psychological advantage? Like, you know what, I'm just going to get down and do one push-up right now, or I'm just going to write one paragraph for an essay that I've been thinking about writing, or a book, or whatever it is. Just find one thing that you can do that will get you going back in the right direction.
That would probably for me be reading. Whatever you're passionate about, especially that specific topic, is to read about it. And like you said, that psychological advantage, it will push you so much further than where you were, before you read that material. So I mean, so that would be, one, just to just be able to, read on your passions, what you're passionate about, which what keeps you, going, what keeps you upright in this upside down world.
Mm-hmm. Definitely know what you mean there.
But yeah, so Guys, I really do appreciate you all. I've had a blast. We got to know Jordan a little bit more. We got to know Ray a little bit more. And next week we'll try to keep the same thing going. With a Love Unpacked and getting to know not only us but you. We want to know what you would like. We want to know who you are and what you're about. How we can serve and help you. So again, you can add us. I'm at Adversity's Hope on Facebook, and
I am at Joadelic, JOADELIC, or my website, IamJordanOwens.com.
amen and amen. So, guys, we had a blast. We can't wait to see you and hear from you guys next week. I hope all is well. This is Love Unpacked, and till next time.